Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Kimness. I am Kim van der Zande, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Soul Love, and today my beautiful soul sister Jennah Synnestvedt is joining us, and I'm very excited to share her magic with you and to just have a beautiful conversation. So welcome in this space, and so great you are here.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. I'm so happy to be here, and thanks for inviting me on as a guest. And hello to everyone who's going to be watching this as you're listening. So yeah.
It's so amazing. It's interesting that we already knew each other in the online space, but a couple of weeks ago we've met each other in real life as Jennah is traveling the world in different times and spaces. So it's very beautiful because it's really when you meet in physical life, a different dimension opens up, and it's so beautiful to have that connection as well. So and what I loved about that was that you also shared with me, maybe that's a beautiful energy to share with, a beautiful cacao ceremony. And how maybe you can share a little bit about how cacao came in your life and how and what it's and the way you use it, because it's such a beautiful medicine, and it will come more during this conversation. But I think it's a beautiful way to start with connection and love and cacao. Who doesn't like cacao?
Yes. Yeah, and of course it's morning here, so I was just finishing up my morning cacao ceremony, and it was so nice to meet you in person. I think it's so special, it's amazing how we can connect online these days globally, all over the world, and then it's like a whole other dimension of integration.
It is.
In person too, and that's one of the things I love about the cacao too, because it's really bringing the physical. It's that full channel of the physical through the spiritual. At least the cacao that I work with is, and that was really what it was, a soul journey of finding it, how it came to me as a gift. And, I just started crying when I received the package, just knowing, there was something it was going to kind of unlock or open up within me. It's just this really amazing heart opener, and it's created with intention of that invitation of the spiritual aspect that is in everything that we consider or call physical. I think a lot of times we tend to maybe separate the two, that there's the physical reality and the spiritual reality, which to me the physical reality is the same thing. It's just all oneness, and maybe it's denser or something, right? There's different densities in the physical and the spectrum of emotions, the lightness, all the light codes of spirit, right? That whole spectrum of the rainbow. So it's beautiful to work with as an individual. The cacao for me, I do a ceremony pretty much every morning with it, where I can really just drop in and go within myself and feel what is going on in my energy field and my body. And the cacao is really just like this loving amplifier and reflector, and then to be able to share it in ceremony with others, where we can both be in that space and have that open heart connection, is just so sweet. And
it is,
I don't know, it's almost like hard to have words to.
But it opens like a vulnerable space within ourselves. What I love about cacao, it opens to love, but also to connection. It reminds us of and also what you shared about we are not only physical body, but we are also light, and we also have these different dimensions of us. But it almost feels like, as you shared it before, the image of cacao being a bridger, as cacao being in physical form, because it's something you can touch, it's something you can smell, it's something you can experience with your senses, but it helps you to become aware of the more subtle energies of our beingness. It helps us to connect to even higher dimensions of love and of light, and so it almost feels like a gift of Mother Nature that supports us in bridging these different dimensions of us, but also bringing it all together. So it's beautiful. Yeah, and it was such a gift to share that with you, because there's so, like, you have the chocolate that you can buy in the supermarket, but that's a whole different dimension of cacao, because with cacao, maybe you can share a little bit more about it, but it's like, it's the rawness, the pureness that holds the medicine.
Yeah, it's the cacao that I work with in particular, you know, it's unstripped of everything. A lot of the chocolates that are in stores, they've had all the nutrients stripped from them. Mm-hmm. So the one that I work with is this raw cacao that still has all of its nourishment and nutrients and, you know, a ton of health benefits in it, and is infused with the wisdom of the lineage of the plant itself, and the wisdom and the creativity. You know, it's kind of like this creative, loving vibration, as well as the Mayan Quiche lineage that it comes from. All of that is in there with a lot of intention. And you know, it is a lot about the heart chakra. You know, it's good for your physical heart and your brain and your gut. Yeah. But that heart chakra is such a beautiful space. You know, to me, it has that aspect of universal oneness and limitless possibilities, that space of sharing, which to me is like that infinite loop of giving and receiving. That as we give, we receive, and as we receive, we give. And it holds kind of like that soul essence frequency. To me, it's like the home. You know, home is where the heart is, and so there's a strong permission for like the individual vibration of each person and each soul to be present and come more into being, and that open-heartedness, which is just so, I feel like, needed in the world today, to remember that connection to our home essence, our home note, and how we're connected to the land and the earth and Mother Earth. You know, at her core, Mother Earth to me is like pure love. Yes. Right? So when we can ground into that, where it's an invitation for more awareness of how we can really co-create in a space that's going to be exponential and healthy for all of us and the planet that we're here.
Yeah, that's true.
Stewarding.
Yeah, but I think especially in this time where love is so needed, love for ourselves, love for everything around us, love for Mother Earth. It's beautiful that the sacred cacao is rising up more. You hear it more, it's more accessible, more people are using it. But I think that's also for a reason, because the earth needs love right now, and the earth needs the connectedness with ourselves. Because that, also for me, the moments I use sacred cacao and we create this ceremony, it's like really also honoring myself. But like you share, you create a ceremony. So in that moment, you are just present and you're setting a certain intention of love. Even if it's for half an hour or something, you're consciously infusing your moment, your time with cacao, with drinking consciously, with that energy you intend. So it's also a very I think a conscious invitation of certain energies in that moment, and by that it ripples out in multiple areas of your life. But it's a beautiful moment for you, and that is what we need. We are so busy in the world, and we are constantly, there are so many things that we can do, but this is like, it's almost creating a stillness to connect even deeper within ourselves and to connect even deeper to the wisdom and the truth that is within our heart. Well, that is what it does for me. And it's beautiful when you do that in ceremony, or like we did it when you were here. It's like, it's beautiful that you can also share that, and from that beautiful conversations arise and beautiful things open up. But it's just a gift. And I think also just the connection with Mother Earth, because Mother Earth holds so much wisdom and so much, but it's coming back to the pureness of how it's meant to be, and also the reminder of the pureness within ourselves, because I think that's also for me like a beautiful reflection, like the raw cacao, the medicine that is in there, the healing assets for our body, but also the reminder of the rawness in ourselves, because I think, and we are both like, that's where we're all heading, like uncovering the layers that are not us, to come back to the rawness, to the essence of our beingness. And I think this is just a beautiful symbol that works in many different ways, but a beautiful symbol of us choosing to come back to who we are, choosing to come back to oneness and come back to love by these beautiful ceremonies. So it's beautiful. And there are many forms, and I love the form you explained, and that you're gifting yourself that in the morning to set your intention to do. Yeah. Do you notice shifts since you started with cacao in your life and in your...
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, it's been probably around this time of year in 2018, maybe, was when I first started working with it. And it, yeah, has been tremendous, the shift and just the level of permission to come more into my body. And yeah, I love how you the rawness of being human, yet at the same time being, you know, magical human, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
You know, it's both, and it's having that, you know, that rawness of that human experience as more of me is coming into my body. There's just been so many layers peeling away, things dissolving, and it's made the process, you know, maybe more fun. I think that's one of the things about this particular cacao, is that there's no rules as far as what ceremony means. It's like each person gets to define. So for me, it's been this journey of defining, what is ceremony? What is ritual to me? Because before I was very, maybe more in the spiritual space of, I just, you know, would bring through the energy and use my hands and the light, and which I still have that strong aspect, but to have this outer reflection of the sacred ritual connected, it's just made me more aware of how I'm connecting with myself and others, and coming from that place of being, you know, really full and overflowing within myself. And like you said, it's that invitation to be in ceremony of that real stillness. It's almost like, I don't know, like a no time, no space, or time bending. Where literally, you know, when I was traveling last week, as I'm getting ready to go to the airport, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and be in ceremony, even if it's just 20 minutes. And you know, that feeling when you're traveling and you can so get into that rushing around, and even, you know, in a work day or doing errands, that feeling of being disembodied, that, you know, you're already going to the next destination. So it was that invitation to just be present. And, you know, within 20 minutes, I had like a whole cry. I released emotion, reconnected with my grounding in my heart and my power. And then I felt like, okay, I'm, you know, that all the details of the traveling and getting the suitcase and all that became a lot easier just to manage. It's like the more I found, the more I can be aligned. And, you know, this, I even learned when I started my, you know, intuitive spiritual practice, you know, over a decade ago. It's like the more, more grounded I can be, the easier everything just falls into place, right?
Yes, it is. But I love that. The moment you shared, it felt like an inner alignment, taking a moment to recenter within yourself. And what I then love is also the sweetness that comes with the beautiful cacao, but it's finding yourself worthy enough to take a moment, even if it's 20 minutes in your day, that are just for you. And what I also love what you shared is like, because I think that's just an important lesson or important awareness in this now moment, that you shared like the ceremony. There is no right or wrong way to do it, but it's just in general with every spiritual practice or with everything, this moment is inviting us to find our way. And whatever feels aligned within our hearts and within our intuition, to do that, to be brave enough to follow, like, this is what I feel right now, to be brave enough to follow your intuition. It's also with like, we both work as well within the Akashic Records, like, but there's no one fixed way to do it. It's tuning into the way that works for us. It's tuning in also within our intuitive business. It's tuning into our uniqueness that wants to come forth. And I think that's also beautiful that you shared, like in the cacao ceremony, there's no one way, but it is in everything, because it's just like a symbol for how we can exponentiate that in all areas of our lives. And it's coming back to our hearts and coming back to the voice that is within us to then do it in our unique way. And to, I think it's a beautiful lesson in coming back to our essence and coming back to who we are. Yeah.
And everyone has access,
Yes, it is.
to it to a certain degree. I mean, there's different accessibility things, financially for people with certain things. But, when we're looking at matters of spirit, especially with, things like the Akashic Records or intuitive psychic abilities, whatever words we're using to describe them, I think sometimes can become blocks. But what I've always loved as I've delved deeper into my studies of spirit is like, everyone's having their spiritual growth, their spiritual path, their spiritual journey, no matter how conscious of it, whether they're saying they're connecting to the Akashic Records or, ceremony or ritual. Everyone is doing it in their own way. There's just maybe different degrees of awareness of what's happening or what words are being used, when something is up for an update in the Akashic Records, that's going to happen regardless. Right? When it's time for the soul to have that happen, when it's divine timing, it's going to happen. And directing our focus or setting intention, right? When I have a ceremony with the cacao, I set an intention each morning, and that can facilitate or move things along, right?
Yeah.
And that can come with, things coming up that maybe we don't like or aren't expecting, right? Getting triggered. That is part of becoming more intentional too, is that yes, there's always love and light there available, and there's some muck sometimes that comes up too as
it is
being more focused on all of that. So.
Because it amplifies what we're feeling. But I love that, because in the end we are here as a soul to grow and to expand through experiences and sometimes we have these things that just keep nudging, and then at one point it's just ready for them to break open. And I love that about cacao. It's like it also invites you to be truthful to yourself. So the things you have been swirling around and maybe not wanting to see, it's like, no, it's now time. And sometimes these things come up and you have these beautiful releases and these beautiful tears coming, but then you see how it opens up even more, because that's when you embrace yourself with love, it's more easy to let go of these things that we have been pushing away, or it's in a soft way supporting you to grow and expand. So I love that. Yeah, because that's important. Yeah, it's just an ever unfolding journey of releasing and awakening and releasing and awakening and coming more to our essence. And that's also inviting us to let go of these layers. So it's beautiful, as you shared. That's also part of the journey, and really honoring ourselves in that. And and it doesn't matter if it's sacred cacao, but it's just how much of a gift is it if you can give yourself 20 minutes a day to be conscious about an intention you want to set, or just be loving to yourself, or take a moment in stillness. That changes so much of your life. 20 minutes, it seems not so much, but for most people, life just goes on, and they don't even take 5 minutes to be conscious aware. So imagine like taking that time. I think that's truly a gift to ourselves if we can do that, if we can just be conscious.
Before I worked with the cacao, I actually had, a 15-minute meditation practice every day for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And even after I started working with the cacao through an online that I was part of. And, that was huge for me, having those 15 minutes when I wake up to have someone hold the space for me. For me, it was really helpful too, to connect in with, a teacher or someone to hold that space for me to sit down for 15 minutes each morning, and the group, how we could all connect together as souls as a group. We weren't necessarily like, sharing, but it was 15 minutes. We would come on Zoom and meditate, run, ground, run energy, center, connect with ourselves. And it just would help focus me for the whole day, all the things that I might tend to be hooked into that might have an agenda for me that I wasn't really aligned with, or wasn't aligned in my heart of hearts with what I wanted to be doing. It just gave me the space to connect with myself and separate from the noise of the world and the demands and the outside agendas that didn't really weren't serving what the intention was, or what I'm here for on this planet. And I'm just so grateful to have had these spaces over time as I've been a student and a teacher, right?
Yeah, we all are the rest of our lives. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
exactly. So I just really also think, there's a level of sovereignty and independence that are so important, and a level of community and working with teachers and mentors and coaches that is so important too, or at least it has been for me, to step outside, the circle of what maybe I was trained was where I was supposed to go for support. I think maybe we're trained, your family has everything you need, and which they do have a lot. And, through childhood, they were the ones there. And as we grow up, we maybe grow more into our soul self, where then we connect with soul family, right? Which is a whole bigger space, right? Isn't that the name of your podcast? Soul family.
Yes, it is.
Soul family or soul love.
Yes. Yeah. No, but it is. Yeah, but it's a part of you that can grow and expand with you in different dimensions. But I love that it's a commitment to yourself, and sometimes we need someone else holding space for us, not to create the solutions, but to create time for us to really connect deep within and holding space from love, because we all have these blind spots sometimes, or the things we are somehow constantly bumping against the same resistance. And then it's just beautiful if someone can look with you at how can I break through, or to see it from a different point of view. Sometimes we are so in our stuff that it's difficult to see. So we all in our journey constantly get beautiful messages, or through these beautiful teachings, see people support us to grow, and it's finding within our heart what we need. But it's beautiful just also for when you are listening to take a moment of like 15 minutes to really center within and set your attention. I notice within myself that the moment I gift myself that in the morning, how fluidly my day goes. But it's by me choosing to align first and then do all the things I need to do. But then suddenly somehow magical things happen, or things align more quickly, or I get instant inspiration. And where before I would always thought, no, I need to do first and then I have time to relax. No. Do it the other way around, because when you're tapped into inspiration, suddenly the thing you normally do 1 hour is now done in 10 minutes, because you're supported from a different energy field, or you're empowered and you're in this joyful state. And it's huge. Our whole society was been so conditioned to work hard and to do a lot and to push and do things from the mind. But if you really take the time to center within your heart, it goes even more quicker. But it's taking a moment of stillness, taking a moment of realignment, and I think that's a huge paradigm shift that already is happening, because much more people are tapped into meditation and tapped into different forms. But if you really embrace that as part of your life, as part of your morning routine, it's huge. huge shifts happen when you start co-creating with these higher dimensions of yourself, instead of doing it only from the ego mind or from the limiting self or the hurt inner child. Or there are so many layers in that.
Choice, I think you said the word of choosing to spend 15 minutes with yourself. It's a choice too. It's not even a should, like, oh, I should meditate so I can make more money, or I can find my romantic partner. It's beyond that should. It's like really that choice, and feeling that deeper calling that there must be more than all of this obligation.
It is, yes. Yeah, it is our true essence that is constantly calling us. I read a beautiful story a couple of days ago, and it was about like the calling we feel within ourselves. So constantly we feel struggle, or it's just the part, our essential part that is calling, this is not your truth. There's something bigger waiting for you, or something more fulfilling, or something more joyful, or something more authentically you. So it is through feeling challenged or through feeling resistant that we are being invited to see what is not in alignment, and to awaken that part again within us. But it's always a choice. We can keep our lives as it is, or we can choose to do something different. And because that's also beautiful about meditation or these ceremonies, is like sometimes we don't know what that different is, but you can already take a moment in stillness with yourself and allow the solution, allow the opening to come to you. Sometimes we try also to fix our lives from our minds, but the true solution comes from the heart, comes from within, comes from intuition. So if you don't know, you feel something needs to change, but you don't know what needs to change, take a moment in stillness, because you are worthy of it. It's like this deep desire within you, this bigger part of you that is calling you to be still, to create something different. But it's wanting to listen to the calling, and you don't have to, because in the end, it's your life, your experience, your body, your healing journey. But it's tuning in again to that sovereignty. It's like, what do you want deep within, and what choices do you make from that, or not choices? That is also fine. It's like tapping into that.
Yeah, and I think we were talking some about this when we met in person too. It's that opening to the heart is even beyond kind of what our brain patterning is addicted to, as you've been talking about the ego mind, or creating from the mind. I think we do that because there's a level of addiction almost to what feels safe, what we're used to doing, kind of, some people phrase it as the comfort zone.
Yes.
And there's a safety and almost like an addiction to that. And so it's going beyond like kind of those addicted patterns that maybe keep us in the comfort zone, and also the beyond even seeking pleasures, right? Because even when we can go sometimes to the place of I want, and I want it to be fun, and I want it to be perfect, and that even is maybe still coming from those pathways in the brain. So it's like going into the heart is really like a deep dive, right? That's the phrase that one of my mentors I work with, it's like I do a deep dive with her, and that's how I work with clients too. And the one-on-one, it's like it really is this deep dive, like diving in, and sometimes the brain freaks out as those pathways are rewiring. But on the other side of the resistance and the stuff that comes up, it's just so much more peace and expansiveness and like true love and joy, even within the maybe more challenging things that happen in life.
It's on a much deeper level. It truly is. Because when you tapped into that, it doesn't matter what comes on your path. You can just embrace it. But it's about finding that deep soul fulfillment, finding that deep, awakening that soul longing, and letting that guide you into what you want. And I love that, because it's truly, we need to be brave to dive deep within our hearts, and we need to be brave enough to really face what is coming up. And sometimes that's beauty, but sometimes it's also the shadow parts of us that are ready to be.
Sometimes from spirit, you know, I'm hearing to this or that, and just, you know, do this or say this, and it's like, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to, you know. Then there's parts of me that just, you know, drag my feet. And yeah, like you said, it's you know, it's your life. It's up to you when. And so yeah. Been times where I've taken my sweet time or been super stubborn with listening to spirit. And at a certain point, I think there comes a times when you know it's time, you know,
it's time to listen.
You know, it's time to take that step. So
I know, I think 10 or 15 years ago, I would ask my spirit and would receive guidance, but I was not ready to do it. So I think that also happens a lot. Like we ask for guidance, but sometimes the guidance is not as comfortable as we thought, or the guidance is asking us to stretch so much, and then we just have a choice. So for years I didn't listen, but then I found it strange that my guidance became quieter and quieter, but I wasn't listening. So why? It's like almost tapping the water tap closed because I don't listen. And the moment I started to listen, and the moment I started to stretch and leap and jump on the guidance, it opened up more and more. But it's kind of really like a journey of the brave ones. We need to be brave.
Waking up in the morning, you know, we could keep. I used to do this too. I'd press the alarm clock, you know, so many times, just snooze button, snooze button, button. And then you know, some mornings I'm jumping out of bed before it even goes off. The sun's rising. I'm up. I'm dancing. I'm running towards whatever it is that is calling me that day.
And it doesn't matter, because in the end, it's all experiences. So we can choose to snooze our intuition, or we can choose to listen to it and stretch ourselves and create beautiful things. But no. And it's also not judging ourselves if we feel like snoozing at a time, or if we're not ready to stretch, because that's also part of the journey. And that's then coming back to cacao, also the love and the connectedness within ourselves, to really honor, like, am I ready for this big leap, or do I need more comfort? Do I need more trust within myself? Do I need to heal or embrace a part before I'm ready to leap? Because that's also
and there could be an ebb and flow too, you know. Even now, after I've been doing this work for, you know, almost 2 decades, it's like it depends on the day what is being called. Some days it is stay in bed, press the button, or maybe that's more at this point what the intuition says, you know, just lie on the couch for a day right now and replenish, or you know, go get in that creative channel and express and invite and share. So
but it's honoring the cycle also within ourselves. Like there are days to just do nothing, and there are days to be in the open, and days to creatively create things. And sometimes our mind wants different things, but it's honoring the natural cycle again that comes from the heart or the intuition, or
and somewhat of like being on this earth too. That's something that over my journey I've connected with, and the cacao too I've worked with on, is that place of co-creating with the earth and like the natural rhythms, as well as my soul rhythms, right? Because in the beginning it was all about, like, when I first started consciously connecting, like, oh, I'm the light and I can do whatever I want and build power through it, and it's all about the vibration, and that maybe there was a certain level of like bypassing with that, where maybe I was like connected to my light kind of way up above my body. And then it's been like a journey of like connecting with that earth being self, and the cycles of nature, recognizing the solstice and the equinox and what the moon is doing today, and all the astrological energies and the weather, and what is real in that, you know. So it's a balance. It's not necessarily one or the other. Like I don't want to give over my seniority to astrology or what, you know, this phase of the moon is supposed to mean. It's what's my intuition and my soul and my knowing saying, and then what is going on. And that's the co-creation really of what's happening with the planet, what's happening with the people around me, my inner knowing and my sovereignty, and okay, how do we co-create and move forward? And be in an elevating relationship together where we can all, you know, rise into a healthier, more peaceful planet or whatever, whatever the goal is.
Yeah, I love that, because that's what it is. Like, we are in physical form, and I love that how you share shows the connectedness between everything, the stars, the moon, Mother Earth and her cycles, but also to us humans and animals. And but also what I like about what you shared is, like, sometimes we may have like this goal we want to reach, but maybe something different is in our bigger plan. We also don't per se know what is in the most aligned way for us, or what is the most aligned thing for us to create or to manifest. And sometimes it's even more magical than we could ever thought for, because all we create now in our visions most of the time is created from what we have seen before, what we have created before. And it's like we're being invited to pioneer and to create something new. But that's also surrendering, because in the surrendering, I'm really co-creating with Mother Earth, and being in these cycles, things start to open up, and then you can allow yourself to be in the flow. And that's the peace again, just being peaceful with whatever comes up, being peaceful with our shadows and our beauties, being peaceful and centered within. And then we're coming back to where we started. Take a moment to recenter, and from this recenteredness, you're able to dance with life and just what comes. Dance with the cycles, dance with the energies that are around us, because we're all connected. So there are so many variables and so many things that are influencing us. And then I think also a beautiful thing is then to connect to our truth, to our guidance that can see things from a higher perspective than we can see here in physical form, in human form. And yeah, to trust in the greater unfolding of something beautiful, and just stay centered in our light, but also in our body, connected to Mother Earth. So I thank you for your beautiful share and for your beautiful energy. I don't know if there's something you want to share before we close this beautiful conversation.
Yeah, you know, as you're talking there, it reminds me of that. Is that the seed of life or the flower of life on the wall?
The flower, and this is the seed. So both.
Yeah. So, you know, it really reminds me of that, of just like, you know, being a point of light in that node of the collective, that as we align with our intention and our light and kind of our sovereignty or intuition, you know, then it's sending signals out through the whole network. And it's this whole tapestry of how we're co-creating together. So I just was thinking about that.
Beautiful. Yeah. How we can be a contribution in our own way to a much bigger network by holding our light, holding our, that's beautiful. Yeah. So is there one advice you would give to others, or maybe a beautiful end thing, or?
Yeah, let's see if what's coming through specifically. Yeah, you know, what this coming through right now is that phrase of trust yourself. And if you're not sure if you're hearing, you know, correctly or feeling correctly, check in with what feels like opening in your heart, where you feel like there's an opening or an expansion or a lightness coming in, versus, you know, feeling like a contraction or curling. And sometimes there is a little bit of discernment, right, of like hearing the true voice or what you want to trust, and then some fear coming up.
Yes, it can be, but your body is sharing your truth.
And that is a great guidance system of what it's time for.
Yes, it is.
And what you're ready for, you know, so you can meter, you know, just trusting that meter, that GPS of your body, right?
And then the first impulse, because the moment our mind kicks in, it can be that, but the first impulse, you feel it, like, oh, do I feel the excitement in my heart, or do I feel indeed my body or field expanded or contracted?
And just telling, you know, trust yourself, saying, I trust myself, I trust myself. Just even telling yourself that can help rewire the brain. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes. And so important in this time where there are so many truths around us, but it's tuning into our own truth and to our own wisdom within. And that starts by listening to our body and to our beautiful vessel we have. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I want to thank you for being here. And if you want to find out more about Jennah's magic, you can find her information below. And I just want to thank you for tuning in to this beautiful episode of Soul Love. And I love to see you in the next one. So for now, much love. Bye.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.